Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays? Just ask it to play 1080 The Fan. Warm up the grill, grab a beverage, and paint your face.
How do you like yours, Clark?
Oh, medium rare, a little pink inside.
Oh, you're fine. Light or dark?
This is Danny and Dusty on Conference Championship Week.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Vicky, can I help you with that Kool-Aid? Please?
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. Boy, that football weekend, football, so hard. So great. What an awesome weekend of football. It was just great all the way around, start to finish.
It was wonderful.
What are you doing?
Sorry, I was trying to put the tweet out real quick. It was wonderful. I think every single game delivered.
Yeah.
Every single game delivered.
Yeah. Detroit, Washington left a little on the bone, but
I
it
think
was
delivered.
a rookie quarterback being incredible. I'll give you that. But every game was, except for that one, coming down to the wire and gave you a little something to talk about and a little bit more to ask. I think coming out of every game, to your point, there is plenty to talk about with every single one of those games, including the good with the Commanders and what lies ahead for them in playing in a conference championship game, and what question marks arise for the Detroit Lions coming out of that, because there's some big uns now that you're replacing both of your coordinators, likely.
Yeah, I mean,
one for sure.
If we get through today's show without Aaron Glenn going to the Jets, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
If for all the smoke, it sounds like it's about.
Kind of sounds like it.
I believe that the discussion this morning is they don't want to let him out of the building.
Big domino to fall was Ben Johnson. He's going to be the Bears' new head coach.
Which, good.
That is good.
Good.
And his very first introduction, like, we just haven't heard a lot from Ben Johnson. You don't hear him talk because he is a coordinator. Boy, he commanded the room when he walked into Hallis Hall for the first time and introduced himself to all the employees. I was like, yep, that dude's got it. He's got energy. He has got command of a room. He doesn't seem like he's going to be a guy like, Ben, what was it? Ben, it's not Ben McAdoo. Yeah, it was, right? Ben McAdoo, the old Giants head coach who wore like his suit 2 sizes too big. And,
yeah.
Couldn't talk in front of a room of people that work really for him. Ben Johnson walked into that room and just dominated Hallis Hall. That was awesome to see. I like him. They've got a big hill to climb with having a terrible offensive line, but you've got a quarterback, so I'm in. Ben Johnson, he's the first coaching domino to fall to where now everybody else seems like they're going to all just kind of fall in line, right? It looks like Aaron Glenn is going to the Jets, even though Ben Johnson wasn't a target for the Jets. Liam Cohen is going to be going down to Jacksonville over from Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. I don't know who's going to take the Dallas job. Apparently, Brian Schottenheimer's name is popping up as a legitimate candidate for that job.
That's one out of the hat.
He was the offensive coordinator, and we all know how Jerry Jones loves to keep his offensive coordinators around. Kellen Moore was forced to be Mike McCarthy's offensive coordinator for a while. It seems like we're now starting to have all of these coaching dominoes fall. Haven't heard much. What's the latest with your Raiders?
I mean, Ben Johnson was the guy apparently, and I don't know where they go on the pivot from this.
They were saying during the herd, apparently Pete Carroll might be option number 1 now.
Wouldn't surprise me. Get the patchwork guy. Get the vibes.
Yeah, turn culture around.
Because Lord knows they need that.
Yeah, they do. They do. In there, it's not like there's a slam dunk offensive name, especially if like Liam Cohen goes to Jacksonville. Now that Ben Johnson is in Chicago,
Let Pete go for 2-3 years.
Yeah, hopefully he hires somebody young that is an offensive mind with the idea that,
Which
hey,
he's
you could.
Done pretty well with.
Yeah, he
Historically,
has. Well,
so.
yeah, the offensive guys his defensive coordinators always seem to be really stinking good.
Yeah.
But offensive guys, their offense plays complementary football to his defense. But we'll see. Maybe he can find himself a young Sarker, Lane Kiffin.
Well, I was saying, like, he's
well,
done,
that
like,
was in college though.
yeah.
But the NFL is a different
yeah.
animal in that regard. But we'll see. Hopefully you know what? Pete Carroll would not be. I would be like, you know what? Functional hire. And that's what you're looking for right now.
Because organizationally, they're not very functional.
Functional hires.
Like,
all right.
If the biggest pushback to Pete is he's old and he won't be here for a long time, like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you're telling me he's a good coach culturally? It makes sense. Like, you trust him. There's not questions about him. But he's old? Because we all know he can relate to players, regardless of age.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Can do that. I think it would be it's a good start.
This is me talking myself into it, but also
as you should. As you should. That's
also,
part of being a fan.
I'm not against it.
There's worse hires that you guys could go down.
And Pete Carroll is probably the youngest, 73-year-old on the planet?
Yes. Yes.
That's also talking yourself into it, Yeah, but we're going to do it. Yeah. Pete Carroll to the Raiders. Bring him back. Let's go. Huh? Good answer. Good answer.
And there's no wrong answers in the feud.
There are in coaching searches, but in this one, no. All right. Everybody have a good weekend.
Just fantastic weekend.
Yeah.
Me?
Well, no. I just don't know what
so
else
much
happened.
Football.
Footballed really hard.
I had a very vigorous massage.
Oh.
I'm very sore today.
Okay.
There you go. A little self-care. I've done we talked about this last time. I've done upgraded the cupping.
Okay.
It's tough.
All right.
I don't the guys that have it done regularly, it's a lot, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like the back not so much. But it's the legs. The legs hurt a lot.
And you're cupping. You're doing the cupping. What does the cupping do for a normal guy, like an athlete? Michael Phelps was the first person that we saw with the
really
cupping.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Olympics, and you're like, why does it look like he got
attacked by an octopus?
Yeah, a bunch of hickeys on him all over the place. What does it do for the normal person? I'm not good. I don't know a lot about cupping.
What's funny is
I've never had it done.
There's been a couple different studies I've seen that say it does. It is good for breaking up and loosening things. I've seen some more recently that have also said it does. There's no direct correlation. My whole thing is if they think it's going to work for me, I'm going to go for it.
Go with the junk science.
Look, if I feel better, cool.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Work.
It usually sucks for a day, but after that, things do feel better.
All right.
So,
well, good.
But I have it done on my legs because of all of the issues that I have, and it does keep things from getting very, 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 very tight.
Well, good. Okay, so that's what cupping does. Yeah. It basically
breaks it up.
All right. There we go.
It makes it to where like I can't get my legs like worked on.
Yeah.
Because they're so tight sometimes. Yeah, it's a problem.
Wow.
So they do that to kind of break it up so they can start doing treatment.
All right. Russ, good weekend? Good weekend all the way around?
Yeah. We went and saw, Den of Thieves 2 this weekend.
Oh, is it out already?
Snap.
Yeah.
Wait, like you guys, just you and the wife?
Yep.
Or, okay.
Was this like a dopamine hit?
Do you take the kids to Den of Thieves? What do you guys got going on over there, Russ?
At home. We did it at the one of the Cinemark theaters. We did their D-box seats.
All right, what's that?
So it's got they recline and everything, and they do the whole like the rumble seat, with the vibrating and stuff.
Ooh.
But they've got like haptic movements in it too. So like when you get like to a car chase scene, the seat will rock back and forth or forward or backward.
That's cool.
D-box, not to be confused with D-bag seats.
Yeah, D-box seats. Okay.
Yeah.
I see these all the time, like when you're going to buy a movie ticket, and you're like, I don't know what any of this means. Because it'll say like D-box, okay. It'll say, I don't know. There's like 4 different options at some of these. And you're like, I don't know what the difference is here.
I bought tickets to a closed caption show on accident once.
Ooh,
okay.
That's rough.
Yeah, because I can't handle the subtitles.
Yeah, you just will always just read a movie. Yeah.
And it's like, I hate that.
Oh, my 8-year-old, she turns the captions on all the time.
Really?
Oh, God. It's so gross.
Why?
I don't know. She's a tremendous reader, though.
Well, there you go. There's a positive to watching television then.
Yeah.
We did the math on this one. This was the first weekend I've been home since August.
Oh, really?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, since August. So it was great. I didn't do much of anything. We had our first third, fourth grade basketball game. And the score was a lot too little. We were on the wrong side of that.
Oh, no.
We're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward.
Not watching the tape on that one.
We're not. If it existed, we wouldn't do it. But it was good. We had a lot of fun. We won in fun, and
Okay.
yeah, we learned that 7 of our 10 had never played full court on a 10-foot hoop before.
Oh.
Because this is the age
Is
where
it,
a
this is
lot
the
of them-
graduation from the 8 to the 10?
Well, yeah, you're going up, and it's a full court, and that was an experience for them.
Yep.
That was a big learning curve. So we're on it. We're on it right now. Good thing is records 0-0 because they don't keep score, which everybody keeps score in their
score,
Yeah, everybody was keeping that
Pretending
score in there.
otherwise is foolish.
That's right.
We got kids hitting the gritty after every bucket?
No.
Most?
No. It's a lot of what do I do now?
Oh,
And
okay.
they're like, get back.
So it's not that league. Okay, perfect.
Just no.
That you know tape I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
The clip.
Yeah, this is not.
Hit the kids hitting the too small after every basket.
Yeah, this is not that.
Okay.
This is not that league.
Okay.
This is not that league that we're in right now.
Okay.
This is a basketball.
We're running shot clocks. We going 4 corners.
You could go 4 corners. You
Ooh.
could run the stall if you wanted to. That
That's tough.
would mean that you have to.
It's a tough look.
Well, you'd have to be able to pass and dribble. Like those things are hard.
Yeah.
Right
What
now.
was it? JJ Redick was talking about how kids are coached. It was a clip that kind of resurfaced. And he's like, most kids until they're like 14 can't make a two-handed pass like where it needs to go. Like it needs to be like a one-handed baseball pass.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact that we don't treat that so differently. Like he was basically saying that they should play on like the 8-foot rims longer, and that they should progress later in life.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with that. I just think like I'm going to be running like a Slovenian basketball camp going on
Okay,
here. We are going to be strictly fundamentals.
There you
here.
go. Look, man.
You know?
It'll pay off in the long run.
We are going to take this back to the Eastern Bloc. I mean,
Why do you think they crank out so many good players?
it's all just fundamentally sound
Slovenia is
basketball.
like 3 million people as a country, and
Yep.
they've got like 40 NBA players.
We're just going to we're going to go to the fundamentals here. We are going to two-hand passing. That's going to be it.
moving without the ball.
That's what I'm
matters.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Nobody wants to do it in the U.S., man.
It's you want to know why? Because you know what's a lot easier to do? Roll the ball out and just be like, go.
Yeah. Regimen.
I mean, it really is. But you got.
Are you guys running the
ridiculous.
wristbands?
Oh, what?
Oh, so at the younger ages, this is what they do. They put wristbands on each kid on opposite teams.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
no,
who you're
no,
supposed to
no,
guard.
No, we don't. Yeah,
Okay.
that's no.
We progressed
that's
past that?
really, Yeah, we have been there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild out there.
No, it's just I've been watching the first and second grade basketball.
It's what happens, dude.
It's it's tough. I'm like, part of me is like they're just kids, but part of me is like they should know like
Nah,
better, right?
no.
Like my function,
Nope.
because I don't have kids yet.
Yep.
Like my functional ability to relate like brain function
Yeah.
at a certain age, I'm like, what do they do at that?
You know what the
age?
best part is though is like when you're like, we could do this, and then you talk to your parents or your old coaches, and they're like, no, you couldn't.
Well,
like we wish we had those. So you're like, oh,
in terms of they should know better, my 8-year-old still picks her nose and eats it. So this is the good reader we're talking about too.
Let he who has not cast the first stone.
hey, Ren and Stimpy kind of changed the game on that. People said like Ren and Stimpy wasn't educational. Dude, Ren and Stimpy taught me what a booger wall was.
you fat, bloated idiot.
God, what a great show. Show definitely made for children.
Yeah.
Vancouver Ford
Nope.
text line calling back here. Closed caption is superior, to be honest. No, it's not. You're a
Dude,
psychopath.
There's a lot of people who feel that way.
Yeah,
There
psychopaths.
are a lot of people that feel closed captioning is the way to go.
Go read a
And
book.
I disagree
Go
with
read a
that.
book.
I find it distracting. I might have ADD.
I don't want to read my movie.
It's undiagnosed, but it distracts me, and I'm always just like,
See, like at night,
eyes
though,
up.
if we're going to bed and we've got the TV on and the wife's kind of halfway asleep and I'm still watching TV, I'll turn the captions on then. So, so I don't have the TV too loud and I can still pick up what's going down.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
My wife doesn't let me have the TV on in the bedroom, so.
You should, I would imagine you being a headphones guy, Bluetooth headphones guy.
Nope.
No, you'll just close caption it?
Yep.
All right. Have you thought about it?
Not till you just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was recommended to me, and I was like, you know what? That could solve a lot of the problems here. Watching things that I would enjoy watching, but my wife is like, I don't want to watch this. I just throw it on. I could watch Squid Games 2, season 2. You know how many parts of the episodes I've seen? Like, I'm almost 2 episodes in. I've had to watch it in like 4 installments here. It's so frustrating. But now I'm thinking of doing the Bluetooth headphones, and that way I can just pop those on. She's none the wiser because she can't hear any of the gunshots or anything like that. And there we go. Problem solved. It's a problem-solving technique. And you just can't watch any at all, huh?
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch. I don't want to read my movie.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, yeah."
No.
The whole, like.
Well, you could be headphones TV guy too. I could see. I could see all of us being headphones TV guy. I'm about to be one. I'll let you know.
When I'm in my office, when I'm working, like I throw the headphones in, and whether I'm watching TV or listening to music, whatever, like I just. Oh yeah.
As you're typing,
it's more screaming.
Okay.
But,
yep. That also that fits.
But my wife will come in there and she will hear the music and she will just be like, "How do you work with that?" I'm like, "It calms me."
Yeah.
I get in a very zen state of screaming.
Yeah, I would love for a therapist listening right now to break you down. Just take it on. Just take it on. Maybe in the summer we'll bring a therapist in when it's a slow time, and just have a therapist just break us both
we
down.
do have a couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, sales. If you're listening, you want to if somebody's out there want to as part of a sales pitch here.
Yeah.
Have a little psychoanalyst come in here and do some. I mean, that might be a little tough for both of us.
I don't know. I think even better help might be like, there's not much we can do with this cat.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it just like starts being directed at me, and they're like, "You may be savable."
Yeah.
All right, 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. Let's get to it, man. We got so much football that we need to football today. I don't know how we can get this all in.
We won't.
I want to, because every game deserves its it deserves its flowers, and I think where we start, championships. We talk champions here. Ohio State, they did it, man, and boy, were they impressive in this 4-game run to a college football playoff national championship. And it's exactly what the 12-team playoff was set to accomplish. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
talked all year about being aggressive. This does not strike me as aggressive. 27-yard try for Mitch Jeter, and it's not a fake. And he hit the left upright. It's no good.
Sean McDonough on the call right here on the Fan, ESPN Radio, as that was the nail in the coffin for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They fall to the Ohio State Buckeyes 34-23. That missed field goal right there. It was 31-15 at that point. Mm-hmm. You're sitting there and you're going, but why? Well, you're playing the numbers game, down 31-15, that you're down by 16 points. That would have made it a 13-point game. You would have needed 2 scores somehow. I don't necessarily agree with
doesn't really. I mean, even the analytics said go for the touchdown there.
They absolutely did. But your offense, in the way that they were operating, told you can't really score that quick.
Yeah. Which is why you go get those points then and there.
And I think it's hindsight too, because they went down, they scored on a quick drive after that, on a 2-minute drive that made it 31-23, the event almost final score there, right? And at that point, you're sitting there going, see, they should have gone for it and gotten the touchdown. I was confused by some of the decisions that Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame made, mainly the fake punt that they went for. That one didn't make sense because it's 4th and 2. You're going to have your backup quarterback throw that out route instead of just keeping your offense on the field.
Which Riley Leonard, if you're going to, like, the only functional running that you had all game was him plowing forward in short yardage situations.
Boy.
Because you couldn't get anything else otherwise. Just kind of rolling this thing back. The score is 31-7.
Mm-hmm.
They find Emeka Egbuka, and he breaks free. And he looks like he's off to the races, and he's got poor ball security. Notre Dame forces the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, if Egbuka doesn't fumble the ball, this game is over. Ohio State had their foot down, stepping on the neck of Notre Dame, and they are mauling them up and down the field. That fumble rattled Ohio State, and it got Notre Dame a little bit of juice. And that was kind of the point, hilariously, Lou Holtz was making about them not being able to play in a tight game kind of situation, because Ohio State got tight, and they all of a sudden they did start making mistakes, and they did start questioning themselves, and they can't sit there and be the team that just grinds you into dust. That's not who they are. That's not their MO. Now, they can ring points up on you.
Yep.
But trying to salt the game away by just pounding the ball, that's not really who they are. And as they did that, it gave Notre Dame another chance and another chance and another chance, because Ohio State got out of their DNA of just swinging for the fences.
But they end up, that was a no-doubter.
Oh, yeah. Look, I said that the line should have been 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, if Egbuka scores, this thing's sideways. I mean, they hang 40 plus on them, and maybe Notre Dame gets another touchdown. It ends up being like a 41-14 game.
You know what the average final score of a college football playoff game or final has been?
No.
Since we've had the 4-team final? 41.8 to 21.7.
Blowouts.
Yeah. This one was a little bit closer. And I think exactly why the expansion of the college football playoff from 2 to 4, 4 to 12, this is why people wanted it, and this is why it worked. Because Ohio State would not have been in a 4-team playoff. If this was a year ago, Ohio State would have been at home. And I've been saying this since Stanford with Andrew Luck got left at home, and they ended up having to go and win the Orange Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It is that the best team in college football isn't always the one with the best record over the course of the season. It is a team that is playing the best at the end of the year. And you could even say that with Ohio State losing to Michigan, they weren't.
No.
But that team was so talented. Talent took over. And I'm really glad that Ryan Day didn't pull the nobody believed in us card.
We were waiting for
that game. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because it wasn't that nobody believed in the talent of Ohio State. They didn't believe in Ryan Day to get him over the hump. And I will say this about Ryan Day. Ryan Day got them over that hump. Ryan Day is the reason why they were able to harness all of that talent and put it together. All the critics and all the naysayers to Ryan Day will say, oh, well, they're just ultra talented. No, you have to be able to harness that
Well,
because
they
we've
are,
seen
but also
great
that.
teams. We have seen so many great
Yes.
teams not fulfill the talent that they have.
Specifically Ohio State.
He got them over that hump. And that 4-game run in the playoffs was masterful.
Mm-hmm.
It was masterful by Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator, who was in his bag again last night with play recall and going back to the well on things that he's done 3 and 4 years ago, plays that they installed this past week.
That counter to, was it Judkins? I think it was Judkins, where they run the fly motion off the tight end, and it looks like everything's going left. Everybody goes left, and he hits that cutback as designed.
He did it with Jeremiah Smith on that touchdown, too, where he short motioned him like he's going over the top in an orbit motion.
Brings him
Boom,
all the way
comes right
back.
back, and nobody's there. Like, that was something, that was the same play Alabama ran with Devontae Smith. Like, he was in a play calling mode. And look, for Ryan Day, it may have been just letting Chip do his damn thing in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because this offense went to another level. Jim Knowles and the soul searching that they did after they played Oregon and lost to Oregon in October. And they said, we need to change some stuff. Their defense has been completely different ever since then. That Ohio State team, they also faced adversity early in that game where if Notre Dame was going to win that game, we talked about this, like, I don't know how they score enough points. And that's really what ended up happening, is that they couldn't score enough points because Ohio State was going to get theirs. We knew that they were going to get theirs. But the way that Notre Dame was going to stay in that game was exactly how they started it. 18 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes, and 45 seconds off the clock. They were going to have to sustain drives, keep the offense off the field for Ohio State, and just plug away. What ended up happening where that game got out of hand is after that opening drive where they went 18 plays and 75 yards and take damn near 10 minutes off the clock,
they got nothing.
They did not pick up a first down for another 27 minutes and 23 seconds of game time. Not real time.
That's like an hour of real
of
time.
game time. It was like the 6:45 mark of the third quarter was the next first down that Ohio State gave up to Notre Dame. That's not how you were going to do it. And in that span, in that 27 minutes and 23 seconds of game time, Ohio State scored on every single drive. They scored on their first 4 consecutive drives, and it was 31-7. Like, they scored 31 unanswered. We're like, deuces, that's game.
Well, and even with that first drive from Notre Dame, you kind of came out of that one realizing that, they had the ball almost 10 minutes, and Riley Leonard ran the ball 9 times. And even at that touchdown, you're like, this is not sustainable.
No. But if they were going to have a chance to win, that's exactly what they were going to have to do. And you're going to have to peel off some first downs, though. And you're going to have to, your drives that didn't finish in touchdowns, you were going to have to, milk and bleed a lot of that time off and keep Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith and Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson on the sidelines the entire time. Well, as it was, even a blink of an eye, you were back off the field. That offense was on. And Will Howard, dude, his playoff run, and I always say this, game manager is not a bad label. I think it is a really good label. He played about as perfect as a game manager could play in the playoffs. His 4-game stretch, he completed 82 of 109 pass attempts,
including 14 of 15 in the first half in the championship game.
That was 75% of his passes in the final 4 games. He threw for 1,150 yards in 4 games. 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His 2 interceptions, they did not come when they were trailing or the game was tied.
Yeah.
They both came with leads. And so that's about as damn good of a performance as you could ask for a guy that he's not the elite quarterback.
No.
Everybody around him is, but that's what you need from that guy, efficiency and take care of the damn ball.
And one of those interceptions was against Texas when it was very clearly him trying to force the ball to Jeremiah Smith because he hadn't touched the ball all game.
Yeah, that was about as good as you can get. And we've talked about Will Howard. Ryan Day deserves his flowers. Chip Kelly deserves his. There's another guy on this team that blows my mind when I think about why Ohio State was so difficult to defend for every single team. And he showed up last night as well. Danny and Dusty, here's Rust with SportsCenter.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road after snapping a 5-game losing streak over the weekend in Miami to face the Heat this afternoon. 4:30 tip on K2 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle, both out. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams III, and Chris Murray are game-time decisions. The Blazers are 10-point underdogs. Here locally, the number 15 Oregon Ducks hosting the Washington Huskies tonight at Matthew Knight Arena, 8 o'clock tip on the Big Ten Network. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 7:30. The Ducks are 13.5-point favorites. The Bears have announced the hiring of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Chicago interviewed 17 candidates for the opening, including former Commanders and Panthers head coach Ron Rivera and former Cowboys and Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. And Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Cowboys will interview offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
For more analysis.
Ohio State is national champs after beating Notre Dame 34-23 in the college football playoff national championship game. Tremendous run and finish in Notre Dame season, but for Ohio State to kind of bounce back and look, you lose to Oregon. That was a game that was on the road. You lose to Ohio State. I mean, those are seniors that have never beat Ohio or Michigan. Seniors at Ohio State never beat Michigan.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Tough one for you.
That doesn't happen, especially to one of those teams that ends up winning a national title. So they got things back on the right track.
Especially that recruiting class. When you go down and look, it's JT, it's Sawyer. It's like you start looking at it, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, they've just been outstanding. They have a Michigan problem. But now, like, it's Ryan Day got you a national title. Shove your Michigan problem where the sun don't shine, because titles last forever. One guy that just absolutely blows me, I think he's the most fun to watch on Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka. He became Ohio State's all-time leading receiver last night.
Really?
Uh-huh. All-time receptions leader with his 202nd reception. Think of that. He has never been the best receiver on Ohio State, and he's the all-time on any roster he's been on from 2021 through 2024. He's never been the best player on his own team.
He's number one in receptions and yards.
And it's because he's been there for 4 years.
Crazy.
Because the thing about Ohio State receivers, if you're that good, you're going to be gone after 3 years. He has been there for 4 seasons.
Yeah, Olave was 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Boston was 2. Marvin was 2. Devin Smith was
3. They've had to be there for 3.
Chris Carter was 2.
They all had to be there for 3 years.
I guess technically yes.
But that was like, oh, dang. Wow. Just to think of how productive he has been and not be the number one receiver. That's why, like, a guy like Emeka Egbuka, he's going to be just fine in the NFL because everybody knows exactly what they're getting from him. You are getting, and what I love about him is not like he's a game breaker like Jeremiah Smith is or Marvin Harrison. The dude is one of the best perimeter blockers in all of college football. He is a spatial awareness master where he'll find a soft spot. He reads a defense really well, always finds a way to get open, and he's totally okay with being the decoy. And he was in large spurts of this playoff run. You saw that they were scheming Jeremiah Smith open by using Emeka Egbuka to just get attention because he's good enough to where you have to give him attention, but then you have to forget where number 4 is, for God's sakes, which is a crazy thing to think about. But that's how explosive, how good he can be. And I was a little bit surprised that when they said he broke the record for receptions and yards. But at the same time, you go, it kind of makes sense because he's been there for 4 years, you know?
Yeah, and I think the other part of this too is the change over the last couple of weeks after, Jeremiah Smith goes bonkers against Oregon. Neither Texas nor Notre Dame was going to let that man do a damn thing.
No.
They said, no, we are not going to let that happen. And Egbuka kind of rises to the top of Carnell Tate. And I mean, they're not short on wide receiver targets, but he was the guy that kind of appeared whenever you need them. And to be honest, last night, again, if he doesn't fumble, he's probably on his way to another big night because Ohio State probably keeps the gas pedal down.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, 6 catches, 64 yards, not a bad day at the office for him. But he was one of those guys that I wanted to highlight because of just how impressive that is. And to think that he also did that with his freshman year, he only had 9 catches. So really he has done it in 3 seasons, but his sophomore year, he had 74. Last year he had 41. This year he has 81 receptions. Emeka Egbuka is one of those guys that everybody's going to remember Jeremiah Smith. Everybody's going to remember Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau or Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom in the back end because all of those guys are really damn good and they're going to be really solid pros. But Emeka Egbuka is kind of one of those guys that kind of the straw that stirs the drink for Ohio State. He was so critical in every single one of their explosions that they went out on and jumped out to these big leads on teams. And that's the thing, like that you talk about that championship DNA. It's always like, who's going to be the next guy to step up, right? Who's going to be the guy that steps up that nobody is expecting to? Everybody should have, because Emeka Egbuka was one of the best receiver recruits in the entire country, coming out of Steilacoom up in Washington. But he's never been the guy who's been the number one.
Well, because the other guys that were over him were the number one wide receivers in the country. And Jeremiah Smith and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. He was clearly number 3 of who you would try to slow down in that Ohio State offense, because number 1 is Jeremiah Smith. Number 2 is your combination of backs with TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. And then you go to Emeka Egbuka. The number 3 guy just happens to be the leading receiver in Ohio State history. Pretty good receiving
it's a good
lineage
place to
there.
be.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like another comp of like a guy like that. And greatest show on turf? When you had Holt, Bruce, Falk.
Yeah, he would be Torrey Holt.
Yeah, right. Like
that's Hall of Fame worthy.
Like, you're really freaking good, but brother, we're worried about Isaac Bruce and Marshall Falk before we get to you.
Or it's like, he would be Reggie Wayne with the Colts.
Yeah. Instead of Edge or Marvin. Yeah. Yeah. That's
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like kind of the same thing. He's really damn good. And that team is really good. Do you see Kirk Herbstreit crying after the game?
No.
You didn't see that? Mm-mm. People had big feelings about that. And I don't think we should, when you realize he has a kid on the team.
Yeah.
But
he also probably shouldn't be calling the game.
Kirk Herbstreit also has a lot of Ohio State bias, and people have always called him on it. And he's always been like, I'm not biased.
Brother.
That showed. He's still the best.
No, he's fantastic, but he probably shouldn't be calling that game.
No, I think he should have called that game, because it didn't come across as we were watching the game. But it's like, I think that's okay. Like Tony Romo is going to have a little bit of bias towards the Cowboys. That's where he played.
Yeah.
Right? Like Brady, if he ever called any Patriots games, he's on Fox.
Yeah.
So rarely are you going to see him. But he's going to be like that for the Patriots.
It might be a little negative.
Joel Klatt 100% is that with Colorado.
Yeah.
Like these are you played for them. Of course you are. I think Kirk Herbstreit does a very good job of, when the game is on, though, it is, nope, I'm going to call this as fair as I possibly can.
Except for the final minute 30 against Michigan,
where he just took it on his own to blast everybody
about Ryan Day. Yeah.
Well, that was Tennessee. That was a Tennessee game.
Yeah.
About Michigan. Yeah, but was he also wrong?
No.
They won the national title.
That's not the place for it. It's not the place for it.
Where is?
College Game Day.
Well, I mean, less people were watching that than College Game Day.
Just saying.
And I mean...
Well, I mean, it's like recusing yourself from a case.
Yeah.
It's like, there's some inherent bias here. Probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah, but I think... But we're not in the court of law. It's college football. I thought he did a good job. There's nothing he said was unfair to Notre Dame.
No, I don't
throughout
think so.
the course of the game. But it was like I saw people just slamming him for crying. I'm like, dude, his kid is on the team.
Yeah.
He played there. Like, what? You guys didn't know any of this? Did you not know Kirk Herbstreit played at Ohio State? They'll tell us every time every time they can, right? Like, I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's awesome.
I did appreciate Desmond Howard in the pregame needling away. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you just lose a lot to Michigan. You can see Herbie just kind of like bite his tongue, like, can't say anything to him.
Again, though, Michigan guy.
But that's where I think it belongs.
Yeah. But he didn't do it until it was on the SVP thing, when everybody was celebrating down the field. Is when Herbstreit was tearing up.
Oh yeah,
like
that's
they
different.
went back.
If you're talking about like on the call, then it's like,
no, it
okay,
wasn't on the
guys.
call.
Okay,
It was not on the call. It was when they were doing the interviews after, and he
That's
saw everybody
fine.
down on the field.
That's who cares?
Yeah, I love Herbstreit. I think that people getting upset about that are like, come on. There's so many other things that actually matter that you could be upset about.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I don't like in the course of the game. I'm like, it's dumb, but in post game, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm saying pregame, postgame, whatever. I don't care.
Well, Ohio State scored a touchdown on each of its first 4 drives. No other team has ever done that in a college football playoff or BCS championship final. So good for you, Ohio State. 14-2 national champions. We can turn the page and we can move on to the National Football League.
Babe.
Those playoffs were awesome. Danny Dusty on the Fan. 4 playoff games in the National Football League, all 4 of them awesome. And they all came with a plethora of talking points that we can dissect and sparse through. I think one of in the game that we can start with how these games started, and then we can roll right on through to Sunday night's game, because that game was epic.
Yeez.
The Bills-Ravens, we were all looking forward to it, and boy, did it deliver.
Delivered.
But let's start with the Chiefs and the Houston Texans.
The Cheaters and the Texans? Chiefs and Texans?
Oh, I see what you're doing there. Boy, a lot is being made of the officiating there in that game.
Surely,
is that where we want to start here?
Surely it must be the first time.
It's not. It's not. And now Warren Sharp is on the case, and I don't think that is good for our Chiefs Homer and Chiefs Hunk on the text line, who, no matter what is going to be said with the data points that Warren Sharp has, I pretty much know how Chiefs Hunk is going to respond, and I want him to know this right now. The Chiefs won that football game. And it was not, I want everybody to know this, not just Chiefs Hunk guy. The Chiefs won that game in the Houston Texans, and we will talk about what the Texans did not do to win that game.
Not put it away.
Oh my goodness. So many things. But here is what Warren Sharp of Sharp Football. Over the last 4 years, the Chiefs have played 11 playoff games. 0 games the Chiefs had more penalties. 10 games the Chiefs opponents had more penalties. He went and he started crunching the numbers on this, and he did a deep dive into this. This is more than curious. He went and he looked at every team that has had at least 5 playoff games and how they compare. Okay? So over the last 5 playoff games, Chiefs have played in 11 because guess what? They're pretty dang good. Games with more or less penalty yardage than the opponent. The Chiefs have had 10 games where they've had less penalty yardage, only 1 where they have more. They have had 10 games with less penalties overall than their opponents. 1 game they had equal penalties in their last 11. That would be a +9 and +10 differential in both yardage and penalties. They are 10-1 in those games. Bet you can't guess what the one game is. Every other team in this is either net 1 or to like net -2. Okay, so not a lot of variance there between how many penalties and how much penalty yardage.
Oh, you mean something like neutral, which is what you probably strive for across the league?
Except for the Cincinnati Bengals, which has played 7 playoff games, only had 1 game where they have less yardage than their opponent. They are -5 in yards, and only 1 game where they've had fewer penalties than their opponents, which is -4 differential.
They're just less disciplined. That's all it is.
They are 5-2 in those playoff games. There is an element though of like, yeah, there are teams that are just less disciplined. This is where it gets a little bit.
Yeah, when the sample size goes out this far and you see this drastic a difference,
this is where Warren Sharp perks my ears up. In the last 4 postseasons, there have been 7 roughing the passer penalties on opponents. There's only been 1 on Kansas City. There have been 4 unnecessary roughness on opponents. Only 1 on Kansas City. There have been 11 defensive pass interference or holding on opponents. There have been 2 on Kansas City.
They're just better, Dusty. They're just better.
Those numbers are wildly different.
Yeah.
And that's where
They're officiated different.
I start to go,
It's Patriots-esque. It happens with every number 1 team. It happens with across sports. You're treated differently.
Yeah, when you have
look at the Lakers free throw
best quarterback in the National Football League, the roughing the passer and the unnecessary roughness, that 100%.
The Lakers free throw stuff
agree.
is insane. It doesn't matter what era of team.
Yeah.
They take more free throws than anyone else by a significant margin.
Mm.
It's a thing that happens.
I think that has led to the Chiefs' fatigue, but it's also like boiling that game down to strictly officiating.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
You cannot do that because
the
there
Texans
was
shot themselves in both feet
so many times.
It was Yosemite Sam trying to put the pistols back in the holster,
And
just over and over again.
That is to the element of what you're talking about, though, in that when you say, no, good teams, they just don't do, well, that's it right there. With what the Chiefs do is that they make you pay for every time you shoot yourself in the foot. Every time that there's one of those penalties, what do? They get points out of it. And that is crippling to any team in the playoffs, especially when you're playing a team like Kansas City. But let's get to what went right for the Chiefs and what went wrong for the Houston Texans. And look, officiating did go wrong for the Houston Texans. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road after snapping a 5-game losing streak over the weekend in Miami to face the Heat this afternoon. It's a 4:30 tip on K2 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle are out, and Freddie Simons, Robert Williams III, and Chris Murray are game time decisions. The Blazers are 10-point dogs. Closer to home, the number 15 Oregon Ducks hosting the Washington Huskies tonight at Matthew Knight Arena. 8 o'clock tip on Big Ten Network. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 7:30. The Ducks are 13.5-point favorites. The Bears announced the hiring of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their next head coach. Chicago interviewed 17 candidates for the opening, including former Commanders and Panthers head coach Ron Rivera and former Cowboys and Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Cowboys will interview offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. We're getting you ready for pro football's Final Four.
You know what's going to take? 60 minutes of physical football. Our very best.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080.
Our 11 versus their 11 for 60 minutes.
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it is on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, or the Party Animals on YouTube, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Party on, Party Animals. We're talking Chiefs and Texans here. 7th straight AFC Championship game for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is incredible. They are one behind the New England Patriots, who went to 8 straight. I saw the stat that, for the last 14 years, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes have played in the AFC Championship game. Seems pretty good. Seems like a good little stat.
Not too shabby.
2 good little players there. But the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Houston Texans 23-14. And as much as, and we will talk about the officiating in some of the calls that were egregious, as much as you want to talk about the officiating, the reality is you have to score more than a touchdown to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Even when he is not on his A game, you have to score more than a singular touchdown to beat them.
Come on now.
And if you are not going to score more than a touchdown, you are going to have to be better on special teams, because that was the undoing of the Houston Texans. And it started right out off the get-go. I thought it was a huge win for Houston to only allow a field goal on that opening drive, because the opening kickoff for Houston, you have a 63-yard return. A player throws his helmet, which you tack on 15 more yards to that. And the Kansas City Chiefs start the ball on the 13-yard line. That's not officiating. It's not officiating that player who threw his helmet went and shoved the special teams coordinator too on the sideline, which was wild to see. But from the get-go, you're like, uh-oh. And the Texans defense showed up. They played exceptionally. And it started with only allowing a field goal on that opening drive. But from there, the Texans had plenty of opportunities.
Texans should have won this game.
They could have. They could have.
The way that they got put behind the sticks with sacks. They got put behind the sticks with penalties, and yet they still go 10 of 17 on third downs.
Yeah.
They crank up the yards.
Mm-hmm.
They throw all over them. They run all over them. The defense comes to play, but it was not mistake-proof football.
No, and the defense held Patrick Mahomes to under 200 yards passing. You held Kansas City running the football to under 75 yards.
Will Anderson
and I will
was an
say,
absolute menace.
I will say 75 because I'm going to throw out the Ariza taking the safety and Patrick Mahomes' longer kneel downs where he went backwards and then took the knee. I'm going to throw those ones out there. And it was right around like 75, 80 yards, right? That you allow less than that and less than 200 yards passing, that defense played their butts off.
That's a recipe for success.
Yes, but you have to get sixes. And if you don't get sixes, you better get threes. And
they didn't get those either.
Fairbairn had one blocked field goal, one horribly missed field goal, and he missed an extra point.
There was There were some missed extra points across the NFL this weekend.
Yeah.
You have more excuse everywhere else because of weather.
I was talking to a buddy about this. Isn't that one of the more egregious things that when they moved the extra point back, they moved it back as far as they did?
Yeah, it's a
It went
lot.
from moving the ball from the 3-yard line to the 15-yard line. Like, we couldn't, like, mess around with it and be like,
10.
hey, let's go to the 10. It's called an extra point. Like, it's implied that you're getting an extra point out of it. You know, did we have to move it back this far?
I mean, you had some kickers have a case of the Shankopotamuses this weekend
You
across the NFL.
Yeah, weather was a big
that's
one
what I'm
in
saying.
most of them, but
If it weren't for Jake Elliott, I'd have gone 4-0 this weekend.
see, right? Well, I'm looking at that number, and I was talking about this game. This game felt like it was going to be played at like 8 points, right? It was the hook is why I went 8.5 was why I went with Houston.
Yeah, we both did.
And it was at 8, and then kickers.
Yeah, I mean you've got
Kickers.
7 points are gone.
Kickers. But that's the thing. You have got to get points on the board when you're playing Kansas City. This is why, and this is to the everybody is saying, well, the more disciplined team wins, right? And you were talking about this in the break. Warren Sharp's mentions, R.I.P. Warren Sharp's mentions, because boy,
Chiefs
Kansas
fans
City,
are in there right now.
yeah, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Just a more disciplined team, better
it-
coached.
but
It's like okay, guys.
There is an element of better coached teams,
Sure.
more disciplined teams do have less penalties, right? They do also win these games on the margins because of discipline and better coaching. There were, and everybody is pinpointing the Mahomes thing, right? Because they don't think that either one of the roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness calls should have been called against Patrick Mahomes. I think the first one you look at it and you go, look, anybody that goes high on a bang play, yeah, you're probably going to get that one called. And the rules official on the broadcast, he chimed in on the Fox broadcast, was like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have called it, but you can see why they would. That one I'll give a pass to. We see that with a lot of quarterbacks everywhere, right? But this is what the sky judge can do in the NFL, say, hey, guys, you missed that one. The other one I thought was really egregious because this is my problem with Mahomes in what he does. I think he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that.
But I thought Aikman and Joe Buck, they kind of amplified everything a little bit more with this because they were like, come on, what is this? You know, and Aikman was like egging it on, right? The one thing, the late slide where Mahomes wasn't even touching, two defenders ran into each other. No.
What are we doing here?
That first, that was a late slide. Second, he didn't get hit. They ran into each other.
Mahomes is the master of baiting that.
Good pause. The other one was they didn't even throw a flag, but it was Mahomes, and he does this on the sidelines where he goats guys into hitting him. Am I going to go out or am I going to stay in? And he does the flop. They didn't throw a flag on it, but this is like, and the Chiefs fans are upset because you didn't even throw a flag. This is why people don't like James Harden.
Yes.
It's
very similar.
It is. Is it against the rules?
It's egregious. That's
No,
the thing.
it's not against the rules, and he's trying to exploit one of the rules. But that doesn't mean we have to like it when it happens.
You're gonna get one of these refs in one of these games who's gonna do the same thing to Mahomes that they did to Harden, when he's gonna get the living crap knocked out of him.
Yeah,
and they're gonna go,
well, but
should have been messing around,
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
it's
gonna happen
when the data backs up, like what Sharp is saying of like how the discrepancy
when it's 10-1.
10-1 is egregious.
That's wild.
That is egregious.
That's wild.
But then you also have situations like if I'm a Texans fan, I'm not bringing up the Mahomes stuff outside of the one call where my two defenders ran into each other. That one I would bring up. I would bring up Dalton Schultz with a textbook hip drop tackle against him.
It's
like
it's
why
so
the rule
bad.
exists.
It's so bad. It's the clip that the NFL is going to send out to every other team and be like, "Don't do this." It was a gator roll, stop, drop, and roll. Like it.
I would be like, yeah, that's the one.
Look,
and you got a big gain on it, but that's the thing is like tack on the extra yards and move yourself into a better position. Like those are the things that you sit there and you go, yeah, that's not where the game is officiated exactly the same. I would also say there was a spot where Texans receiver catches the ball, he crosses over the 15-yard line, and like he caught the ball beyond it at like the 14, and he was tackled immediately. At no point did the ball go back beyond to like the 16-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give him a first down. They moved it back on the other side of it's like at no point was he on the other side of that line, yet that's where the spot was. Those are the things that I would be bringing up, not everything about Mahomes, because it's not all about Mahomes.
No.
It's over the course of the game. You're looking at it like that game was just not very well officiated, and Houston was on the wrong side of it. With that said,
Which we've seen happen against Chiefs opponents
yes,
more than a couple times.
But you also, on drives not affected by it, you didn't get touchdowns.
No, and that's on them.
One touchdown, and it was a masterful drive where they took 10 minutes off the board on their opening drive of the third quarter, and it was like, that was an incredible drive. You scored a touchdown on that. You missed 2 field goals. You miss an extra point, and you're not turning sixes into the end zone. You're settling for threes and not getting those threes. That's why Houston lost.
Yeah.
It wasn't because solely on the officials.
If you put some points on the board and all of a sudden the Chiefs are chasing points on a game that they weren't productive in.
Yep.
Not only do you probably win, you win.
Mm-hmm.
You win.
Yeah.
But they couldn't do that. And you tip your cap to the Chiefs defense in that regard of, holding things down when it mattered the most.
D'Amico Ryans after the game, he was, oh boy.
Yeah, we knew going into this game, man, it was us versus everybody. Right? When I say everybody, it's everybody, all of whatever. Everybody, the naysayers, the doubt, right? Everybody.
That was a question about officiating. We knew heading into this, it was us versus everybody. Yeah. Look, the Chiefs haven't won back-to-back Super Bowls because of the officials. I don't think that the NFL is sitting there saying, we need the Chiefs in.
Nobody wants that outside of Chiefs fans.
I'm not saying that. But.
The numbers are the numbers.
Yeah. It's egregious.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Chiefs Honk is in. I knew he would. He's already sent us a compilation of Josh Allen flops.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen also doesn't. You know what Josh Allen doesn't get? Nearly as many calls.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I'm not sitting here and I'm not saying Josh Allen doesn't. Josh Allen flops too.
He does.
But that should not be your argument as to why
my guy sucks, but so does his. Like
as to why your team has statistically gotten 10-1.
Yeah.
The advantage.
Yeah.
4-1 on roughing the passer calls. Like it's
pretty distinct. Remind me again.
7-1.
Have the Chiefs played the Bills in those games?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
but
weird.
The numbers are pretty egregious. They are pretty egregious. And it's not one of the things that is, again, holding Kansas City back from winning these games. But holy smokes, if you can't acknowledge it and just say, well, yeah, sometimes we get away with it, that's on you.
Yeah.
The bottom line, Houston didn't play well enough to win.
No.
But the calls were pretty lopsided in that one. Again.
Both can be true.
Both of them can be true. Both of them can be true. Saturday night, boy, that ended with a thud, but it also gave us quite possibly one of the best rookie years we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Picked off. Jeremy Chin's got it. That's it. Celebrate like it's 1991. We're going to the NFC Championship game.
This is the Motown, the home of Motown, and tonight they'll be playing the blues, baby.
That is the Washington Commanders radio network. I love that call. Was that Bram Weinstein on the call for the? And I think, is it London Fletcher? I think he does it with London Fletcher too, which is pretty badass. The Washington Commanders are in the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1992, as they said, which now means every team except for the Dallas Cowboys has gone to the conference title game this century. Wrap your head around that one. The Dallas Cowboys are the only franchise in the NFC that has yet to go to a conference championship game this century. This is why I say we should not take them seriously as an organization. We should not. They need to prove it to us that they can be taken seriously as an organization, because they cannot right now. The NFC North as well, the best division in football, 0-3 in the playoffs.
Kind of crazy.
0-3.
Kind of crazy. Now,
Packers, Vikings, Lions.
all for different reasons, but also all
Yep.
coming back to the quarterback. Sam Darnold turning into a pumpkin, Jordan Love being hurt and not looking like himself, and having 3 egregious throws that you just went, what the hell was that? And then Jared Goff having his worst game maybe as a Lion.
That was not a good night for Jared Goff. He was really bad. 3 interceptions.
That was LA Rams Jared Goff.
Yeah, and I was this is circling back to like Will Howard, right? Will Howard was elite as a game manager in the playoffs, and that's not a bad thing. You can be a really damn good quarterback and very, very, very successful in managing your team and not making the critical mistake. And Jared Goff was bad. A pick 6, a pick that ended the half and wiped points off the board for them. His last interception, that was just desperation. You're trying to keep something alive. I'll kind of give him one on that. But on that pick 6, dude, people are wondering, like, did he get concussed on that? And maybe is that why he was as bad? But he threw the pick 6 before that hit happened, and that was an egregious throw, right? He was not good. Jaden Daniels was. That young man has taken another step forward and a leap forward. Like, I don't like dealing in hyperbole and saying he's might be the best quarterback in the NFC.
He's a top 5 quarterback. I don't think you can argue that.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
I think you can argue top 5 in the NFL, but in the NFC.
Do it real quick.
All right.
Mahomes,
Allen, Josh Allen,
Lamar
Jackson,
Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
And then is there an AFC quarterback left better than him if he's the best quarterback in the NFC?
Well, I mean, now you're talking about CJ Stroud is in that conversation as well.
Again, I think I take Jaden at this point.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy as it sounds. As soon as you start doing it, you go, oh,
but I'm
crap,
not definitively going to put him in there because of guys like CJ Stroud. And then guys like he's going to have to play in the NFC Championship game. We can criticize Jalen Hurts all we want. Dude wins.
Yes, but
dude wins.
He has to win a certain way.
Dude wins. I mean, that's the thing is that, like, we've seen Jalen Hurts win at a really high level. And in the NFC, you also have guys like, I would also put Matthew Stafford in there too. Like, the Rams did not lose that game because of Matthew Stafford, and he may be getting old, but he still has got it, man. And that's where you go, though. As a rookie, what Jaden Daniels is doing is absolutely incredible.
We've never seen a rookie do this. Not this.
No, and the numbers that go behind it, we've seen rookies go to conference title games. We've seen them have large amounts of success early in their careers. Kyle Brandt, NFL Network, said rookie quarterbacks to start a title game and where their defenses were ranked. Okay? Brock Purdy, Mark Sanchez, Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, Sean King.
Every one of those has an elite defense.
Not one of those guys had a defense ranked in the National Football League outside of the top 3. Purdy had number 1. Roethlisberger had number 1. Sanchez, Flacco, and Sean King each had the 3rd best defenses in the NFL their rookie seasons. The Washington Commanders ranked 18th.
Yeah, the middle of the pack.
18th. I mean, they're below halfway. Like they are not an elite defense, and that's what makes him so impressive is his poise, his control, his command of not just the game while it's going on, but everything around it too. That locker room where the hardest thing to do as a rookie quarterback is to get dudes who are in their 30s, who have wives and kids,
to rally,
to say, I'm following that guy, and he's doing it. Like that's the incredible thing about what Jaden Daniels is doing right now.
We might look. The whole hyperbole thing, I'm throwing it out the window here because we might be seeing an all-timer. Like he might be an all-timer. Like we've never seen a rookie do this. And look, when the tape gets out and you get your sophomore year slump and all that kind of stuff and teams adjust to you, I get all that.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of people were saying the same things about C.J. Stroud last year, and you can see how quickly, like NFL defensive coordinators are really damn
smart.
good.
But the one thing that Stroud is mobile. He's not Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Jaden Daniels is a real threat.
Yeah.
To tuck it and go. Now, that's also the same thing that could be his undoing because he weighs $190, and that man might die if he gets hit. But he is for all of the things we talk about with Lamar, he's so much more advanced than Lamar as a passer. At his age, hell, he might be more advanced than Lamar right now as a passer. That's the scary thing.
But aren't they the same age? Because Lamar's just perpetually
26.
In his early mid-20s.
Yeah.
He's still not 30.
Yeah. No, he just turned 29. Or did he just...
I have no idea.
I think he just turned 29.
He's not 30,
or just turned 28. One or the other. Either way, he's young as hell. But I don't think we've ever seen
He's just turned 28.
Yeah.
Just turned 28.
God. But that's the crazy thing is, like, this evolution of that dual threat quarterback, it's become, yeah, they can run like there's no tomorrow, but also they're insane passers.
Jaden Daniels is 24.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's why these guys are going to be sticking around in college longer, right? Look at the rookies that had success this year. They're guys that they stuck through it and they went through it. And there's going to be that. I mean, if you look at Daniels, Nix, Penix, they're not young guys, right?
They
didn't come out early.
Yeah.
No, they are the ones that stuck around, have seen a lot of football, have played a lot of snaps, have gotten a lot of starts, and seen a lot of different defenses. And that's huge. But what Jaden Daniels is doing outside of everything is absolutely crazy.
He's shattering them all.
It came out like right as the game was winding down. Did you see the VR thing with Jaden Daniels? So Jaden Daniels is using virtual reality, and that was like one of the things that he wanted to make sure that the Commanders were on board with.
Is this like the thing that Orlovsky uses?
No, it's like an actual VR headset.
Well, yeah, no,
that he throws on, and I guess he can play and process at like 1.75 speed of the game. Like,
so it speeds it up.
He's training his brain at 1.75 speed. And so he uses like VR to help him process, make reads quicker, do all that stuff.
I mean, it's not a one-to-one comp, but we do the same thing in the military. When we have layouts and stuff like that, we'll use VR to know like how to progress.
Yeah.
Ingress and egress in and out of a building or something like that.
So yeah,
it makes sense.
The company that makes this stuff, apparently he was using it at LSU. The company that makes this, they built it for soccer, and they needed to like have a breakthrough with it, and they're like, maybe football, and so it's probably going to be a company we should all invest in.
Yeah, no, I mean, it this kind of stuff makes sense. it's the same as it sounds. There's been a bunch of studies that have been done in the last couple of years that tie just regular video games to cognitive function because it's all about processing.
So they use speed manipulation in this thing. Everything runs at 1.75 speed, so defenses move faster than they do in real life. Your brain adapts to heightened pace, and the real games feel slower. Then you have cognitive rewiring. 250 to 300 extra snaps per week is what he's taking, which are thousands of mental repetitions that go through and zero physical toll on your body. It's pure neural adaptation is what they say.
Makes sense.
It's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah. No, I mean, it should be a thing that literally every quarterback does. It's the complete opposite of Jamarcus Russell watching the blank DVD.
That's right. That's right. Film matters, repetitions matter, and Jayden Daniels, man, he is really damn fun.
Yes.
And that, to me...
Fun and good.
Yeah.
So it's a fun combination.
I'm really excited. I hope we do have another generational core. I think this draft class, this is going to be a really good one moving forward.
Might be one of those 83 classes.
But there's so much that they can't control, right? Like
where you go.
If Cliff Kingsbury leaves and he ends up taking a head coaching job at some point, right? What does that do to his regression? What happens when NFL teams start to really adapt to what he does? And that's on the Commanders. And this is the fun part about the Commanders. They're so much more fun.
Yeah.
Now
Daniel
that Daniel
gone.
Snyder is gone, just to see how quickly the stink of that franchise has gotten off of Dan Snyder, it's awesome. And like that does go to, and I know this is, you're gonna hate me for saying this. Ownership matters.
No, it does.
Ownership matters.
But there's also
because culture matters.
There's levels of suck because the flip side is just down the road in Carolina.
Yeah,
that's new ownership too.
Dysfunctional ownership can drive your team into the ground. It can drive everybody that is on the field directly into the ground. Dan Snyder may never talk to some of the players on the field, but they feel the drip of the culture.
Yeah, because of the people
stank.
that are upstairs that dealt with it. The stuff that we heard when we were in D.C. about Dan Snyder was out of pocket crazy.
Josh Harris is seemingly letting football people make football decisions. The new GM who they got from Adam, what's his name? From San Francisco, who came over. He appears to have lined up a pretty good first draft class that he got for them moving
Not too
forward.
shabby.
Dan Quinn making solid hires up and down.
A
his
retread
staff,
coach who everybody
right?
questioned.
And remember, Ben Johnson, who just took the Bears job, remember what one of the big reasons why he didn't take this Commanders job last year was? A bunch of basketball people in there, and he wasn't sold on the direction that they would go. They wanted to treat it like a basketball organization. Well, guess what? They just got out of the way. They're letting the football people handle that side of it.
And you wonder how much of that
succeeding
of being told that made them shift.
Yeah, that's one of the things with Ben Johnson's hiring in his interviews. Apparently, like when he would meet with the team, he would want them to basically admit where their shortcomings were and where they failed previously and how they
being
were
able to recognize that
and
stuff.
do they have a plan to what are we going to do so this doesn't happen again? And maybe that was the thing last year with the Commanders, just because they weren't there long enough.
No.
Right? Like they were probably there like, dude, we don't know. We just got here too.
Yeah. So shouts to them for if that, kind of led to a course correction.
And a backwards hat head coach,
There you go.
Dan Quinn, going to drive Colin Cowherd crazy having his hat
Love
backwards
to
on the
see it.
sideline.
Coming next is our worst day on the web. What would you do if you found out the government said you were dead?
Oh.
Yeah, enjoy that one. Ponder that one real quick. First, here's
Whatever
Big Goodness
I want.
the Sports Center update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by PG Long Floor Covering, carpet, hardwood, or laminate, flooring cleaning, or restoration. Call PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts. PGLongLLC.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road after snapping a 5-game skid over the weekend. They're in Miami to face the Heat this afternoon. 4:30 tip on K2 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle are out. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams III, Chris Murray are game-time decisions. The Blazers are 10-point dogs. A little bit closer to home, the number 15 Oregon Ducks hosting the Washington Huskies tonight at Matthew Knight Arena, 8 o'clock tip on Big Ten Network. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 7:30. The Ducks are 13.5-point favorites. The Bears announced the hiring of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Cowboys will interview offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. And this one just coming over the wire a few minutes ago. The Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to terms on a multi-year extension. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan. Of Danny and Dusty
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
on 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Well, here's your lesson in government efficiency. A woman, Nicole Paulino, discovered she was registered as deceased when she went to renew her license because a funeral home entered the wrong Social Security number.
Dang, that seems like an oversight.
Yikes, dog! So, for those that don't know about how this works, when you die, the funeral home or the coroner, whoever it is that processes your death, as long as you're not a Jane or John Doe, sends a form that gets sent out to the government, most specifically the IRS. The IRS then sends out a deceased person report, and that impacts all of your government stuff. That means your driver's license, your birth certificate, your voter registry, your insurance, everything. Basically, every bank accounts, everything that is tied to your Social Security number goes bloop, deceased. So, unfortunately, this woman not only could not get her driver's license, but her health insurance was canceled in the midst of getting medical treatment that she was paying for insurance for her family members. So she racked up insane medical bills, couldn't get a driver's license, had to go through this entire process and prove that she was alive, which not easy to do if you've been pronounced dead.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a lot of loopholes that you need to jump through there. Because, like, to the DMV, you just being like, no, but I'm here. They're going to be like, yeah, but no, you're dead.
No, the computer says you're dead, so you're dead.
Yeah, this says you're dead, so sorry.
Yeah, I don't think the DMV's got the bedside manner that you're looking for.
Yeah, where do you go? Like, do you...
Got to go to the IRS and the Social Security office, both of them.
That's where you're going to start. I would say Social Security is where I start, and I'm like, hey, look, I'm not dead.
Well, here's the thing. You better have the birth certificate with the fingerprints and the footprints, because you got to get verified. And it's basically the only way to verify you are who you are at this point.
I would just say, no, you guys screwed up. I get to start fresh. I'm going to name myself.
Screw my parents. I get a new name and a new Social Security number.
All right.
Also, clean credit.
I would like my name to be Billy Badass and...
Major. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, God, I can't remember what show it is.
will.
My dad was a bit of a smart ass, and he named me Major. He said, first name Major, middle name Major, and of course my surname is Major. He goes, but it's a military thing. And he goes, but you're Sergeant Major. He goes, I can't stand for that. And he promotes him to actual Major, so he's not Sergeant Major.
Yeah, I can't imagine how I could have missed that, and why I don't think it's nearly as funny as you do.
Come on, it's great. It's great.
That is some niche military humor there.
Yeah, it is. It's good. But, I mean, do you get to start with a clean credit report?
I think so.
Right? If you got a criminal history, does it go away too? Asking for no one in particular?
I think you just get no countsies.
Right? Yeah.
That guy's dead. Yeah. Like I'm new. I'm new here.
Write these down for later.
They're like, well, you got to go back to kindergarten. Then you have a whole Billy Madison thing where you got to like go back to school. That would suck. But that seems like a headache I wouldn't want to deal with. And then it should be easier than what it probably is for this woman, in that she should just be able to go to the funeral home and be like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can be like, oh, yeah, that's our bad. We'll deal with this. Instead, just like when somebody steals your identity, all of a sudden you're the one that has to have all the fallout with it and deal with everything. You shouldn't be the one. Like, you didn't do this to yourself, but you're the one that has to clean it all up.
The Social Security Administration told NBC4 Washington, which is where the report originates, its records were highly accurate, and then less than 0.33% of the more than 3 million death reports they received annually were later corrected. So if you're doing the math, more than 10,000 people a year this happens to.
Oh my goodness.
And you're like, well, I mean, it's less than 1%. Sure, go ahead and be the less than 1% and see how you feel about this, because this is the attorney that's fighting this for this woman right now. Says this happens on almost a daily basis, and it's the impact is the worst impact that you can have on your credit report.
Oh yeah, I bet. And so their credit is screwed.
Yeah, because it crashes. Because it's no longer registrable because you're dead.
So even if, like, I think what would be worse is, like, if you are a person with awful credit, you're probably okay with this happening. You're like, well, maybe we start with cleansies. But what if you built up great credit?
Yeah, you got like a 750 plus credit score.
You're a dependable, reliable member of society, and then they're like,
just drop a nuke
and
on
it's
you.
Absolutely nothing that you did. Nothing that you did. It's a mistake somebody else made.
Mm-hmm.
And it will affect you for years to come. That sucks. We need this to stop.
Yeah.
Or, as Texture says, isn't the term burned? Maybe she's a secret CIA or MI6 agent.
I don't think you'd go to the news station to proclaim this.
Oh,
Although it would
maybe.
be a really good cover. Also, if you saw her,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's a lioness.
Well, that's why it's at least suspecting.
Yeah.
You know, there's a thing for everybody.
No, there is.
You know, maybe there's, an evil dictator somewhere that,
Look, I know some folks who worked in the spook world who you would not think worked in that particular world based on how they looked.
Yeah.
For sure.
See?
Not everybody's out there looking like Pierce Brosnan. In fact, most of them aren't.
See? You gotta slay some dragons to get to the princess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way that it happens sometimes. Like, some of these guys are like, no.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly that. All right, so there you go. That's our worst day on the web. All right, come up next. We got to talk a lot of football. Let's sneak a little bit more in here with the Bears making the right decision. Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Yesterday afternoon, the Chicago Bears did the thing. They did the thing that they should do. Hire the best offensive mind on the market in Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. It was made official. He came into the building today to raucous applause.
Do you think Caleb Williams was apprehensive about whether or not this actually happened? Because he got prank called by some teenagers that got his number?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
A couple of teens, and I don't know how they got Caleb Williams' phone number, but they got his number and were texting him as if they were Ben Johnson. And then they set up a FaceTime with him.
It hit him with like
and
got him!
Now he had to change his number. So I bet he was a little, hesitant to be like, hey, is this real or not?
I did see that he liked the official announcement on Instagram.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know the Gen Zers are in on a
Instagram not hiding likes
announcement. No. Does Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh.
Twitter hides likes.
Oh. On who likes things?
Yeah. You can see your own, but yeah, basically Elon got caught liking an Insta or a Twitter thought.
Oh.
And
then he just got rid of it.
Basically.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Good hire though for the Bears.
Great hire.
They're gonna have to go through it. Like, look, Jared Goff played horrible in the NFC Championship game. I don't think it was Ben Johnson why they lost.
No,
he didn't have his greatest game, but at the same time, he was pretty damn creative. That toss.
The toss shovel instead of a shovel toss.
Well, no, it's usually you run toss shovel, but you just fake the toss.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible, and that was not like something that you put in this week, and then we're gonna run it. No,
it's been there for a while.
They've holstered that one for a long time.
Keith's
that was one of the ballsiest calls, though. I mean, you would talk about in a world where hand-to-hand handoffs are, I don't know if we want to have anybody except for our quarterback handing off the ball, unless we're a wing T team.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he's like, just toss it to him and he
Forward
can toss
pitch
it.
in traffic.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, by the way, we're not going to block this guy, so there's going to be a 300-pound man in your face. Just get that one off.
Yeah.
Incredible play.
Yeah.
He is a really
he's a mad
bright
scientist.
Offensive mind. I was worried about whether or not he had like that to command a room, just because we didn't know anything about him.
No.
His entrance into the Hallis Hall was incredible. I hope he does really well, and now we're going to start seeing all these hires start to fall in line. And really, it leaves big questions in Detroit on where they can go from here because, look, you can hire another great offensive mind, but you're not going to get another Ben Johnson, and that's going to be the hard one for Dan Campbell, is who does he bring in to keep this offense humming where you got weapons on weapons on weapons. You got one of the best offensive lines in all of football.
There's no shortage of people who want that job.
Oh, no. There's going to be a lot that want it, but can you be as creative? Can you have that right sauce to be as good as you were the past couple of seasons? That's going to be a big hit for Detroit, especially because he's going to be in division. So he's going to be sitting there going like, all right, you want to know how you screw with Jared Goff? I got X, Y, and Z because I had to cover for his shortfalls the entirety of my time with him. We can be a disruptor in the NFC North. Their biggest issue, though, in Chicago is going to be you can have a great play caller. If you don't have an offensive line, doesn't matter.
Who was the last coach for the Bears to be an offensive-minded coach? Trestman?
Yeah, Mark Trestman.
Because not Eberflus, not Nagy, not Fox.
Nagy is. Nagy's an offensive coordinator. He was Andy Reid's offensive coordinator, and he back is to being Andy Reid's offensive coordinator.
I guess he
is. It was Nagy, Trestman. They've tried to bring guys in, but
other than that, I mean, it's Smith, Jaron, Wanstead, Ditka. I mean, it's all defense.
Yeah,
all the way through. God,
what's the Bears?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what they do.
But that's what I mean. Like this feels like a real, instead of going after the Aaron Glenn type, which. Again, I think Glenn's going to be a great coach, but I think you needed to make a real pivot.
Well, and I mean, it doesn't matter who your coach is if you don't have a quarterback, too.
Yeah. And I think
you have a solid foundation in Caleb Williams that you can build off of.
I think that was a deciding factor in going to Chicago.
Oh, 100%.
Like you look around, like the different jobs, that's the one where you're most comfortable.
It sure sounds like the interest that he had in the Raiders was kind of one-sided by the Raiders because you don't lose a game and then the next day be hired as the head coach if it was a hard decision to make.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's tough out here.
But it does show, though, everybody, all the reporting was, as it pertains to the Raiders, was that, like, Tom Brady, he wasn't even going to listen, but Tom Brady got into his ear. That's going to help try to turn things around in Vegas. We'll see if it's successful, though.
All right, coming up next, we'll keep it in the NFL. You want to talk about the Rams-Eagles, or you want to go Bills-Ravens?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
We'll hit them both here. Coming up next here, now number 3, and Danny Dusty, 10 of the Fan.
Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road after snapping a 5-game losing streak over the weekend in Miami to face the Heat this afternoon. 4:30 tip on K2 2.2 on your antenna, Xfinity Channel 302. Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle are out. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams III, and Chris Murray are game-time decisions. The Blazers are 10-point dogs. Closer to home, the number 15 Oregon Ducks hosting the Washington Huskies tonight at Matthew Knight Arena. 8 o'clock tip on the Big Ten Network. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 7:30. The Ducks are 13.5-point favorites. Over in the NFL, the Bears announced the hiring of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Cowboys will interview offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. And the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to terms on a multi-year extension. He is the only coach in Vikings history with multiple 13-win seasons. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan. Hot teams.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
Hot quarterbacks.
Jeez, look at the butt on that.
And hot takes.
Yeah, he must work out.
This is Danny and Dusty on Conference Championship Week.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Danny and Dusty on 1080. The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Tuesday afternoon, whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we've got 2 more NFL games still to go through. Rams, Eagles, Bills, Ravens. Which one do you want to dive into?
Rams.
Rams, Eagles?
Rams, Eagles. Yeah.
It was nasty, it was ugly, and it was beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, that snow football was awesome. It 100% affected the game. And there's Kay Adams tweeted, "Do we really like snow football, or do we like the idea of snow?" No, I love snow football.
I will tell you though, I've been in environments where the snow that they had there, the not soft snow, when you're wearing a helmet, it's a very eerie sound. That tick 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 sound on your helmet the entire time.
Sure.
It's very weird. And
But
I don't know why that's such a, like, when you just remember certain things.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that turns out. I mean, I remember just watching the snow on that field and not being fluffy. It was the heavy, wet stuff.
They said it was hail,
Yeah.
ice pellets at the beginning. I don't really care what it was like. I
was
like
glorious.
watching snow football for the same reason I enjoy watching the U.S. Open of golf. I like watching some of the world's best athletes look absolutely normal, right?
Except for Saquon Barkley.
I am totally okay with that. But also, that was in a game that is physical and it's supposed to be built on speed and brutality. Guess who was the best damn player on the field?
Saquon.
The guy who is the fastest and most physical, and that was Saquon Barkley. And look, Kurt Warner does this all the time where he says, playoff football should be played in a dome. Get out of here with that. No.
Complete opposite.
Home field advantage is we are good enough to where we earned this, to where we can dictate the terms. Yeah, we're used to it.
Of course the Arena Football League guy wants to play in the dome.
Well, and the guy who played in Arizona and in a dome.
On the fastest show on turf.
In St. Louis. But it is something that a home field advantage, the better team, you earn that right to be at home. And it played a massive factor. The Kyren Williams fumble. Look, holding onto a football in the cold and in snow is a lot different than just carrying the ball. And he had fumbling problems to begin with. But you get a punch on the ball. We saw it in the Baltimore and Buffalo game too. Like a peanut punch has exponentially more power in the snow.
Hell, we saw it in Ohio State Notre Dame. Igbuka. It was a full-on punch.
Yeah,
over the
that
top.
was not. But that
Not
wasn't
in the
conditions.
elements. Yeah.
But when you're in the elements and the ball is cold and it's wet and you have multiple layers on, your grip is a little bit different.
And you
that
carry it
peanut
like a loaf of
punch
bread.
means a ton. And so, yeah, it played a factor. But that game ultimately came down to why I couldn't buy the Rams, which was I could not get out of my head 255 yards the first time that they met, and Saquon Barkley went for 205 yards rushing in this game, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. Philly won that game in the trenches. They won it on the line of scrimmage. I thought Matthew Stafford played about as good of a game as you can play in those elements where you're not used to it. There was a stretch where you couldn't throw the football because it was snowing too hard.
Yeah, you couldn't see it.
That eliminated a lot of what LA was trying to do. Well, they still found a way to make it a one-score game at the end, and they put up a hell of a fight, man. That was a really good football game. And now Philly, they have gone up the boards in Vegas they're the Super Bowl favorite now. And a lot of it is to do with Saquon Barkley and being able to lean on him at the end of the year. This guy may go down as the best non-quarterback free agent signing in NFL history.
It also makes you point and laugh at the Giants and also shudder in fear as you could have seen this guy on a team that mattered for multiple years besides that.
Yeah.
That man was wasting away in New York.
Giants fans can be upset. He wouldn't be this good if he was on your team.
No, I mean, that's
being honest.
what I'm saying. He wasted away in New York.
Yeah, and if you look at it, like if you take Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees out of it, guys that were quarterbacks who left in free agency, you're talking about Saquon and his impact with this Eagles team is equivalent to Reggie White in Green Bay and Deion Sanders in San Francisco and Dallas.
I was
Charles
Randy
Woodson
Patriots
going to the Packers. Like the impact is incredible. But Randy goes to the Patriots and they went from being a Super Bowl champion to being just best offense
ever.
Like, and they didn't even win a Super Bowl, right? But like the Eagles might not win a Super Bowl this year. They still have.
Tell you what, I don't trust their quarterback
the
play.
Commanders, the Bills, and the Chiefs to go through in order to get there. But you're looking at the impact of Saquon just being there. It's an all-timer.
I will say, though, on the other side of the ball, though, that Jalen Carter guy, really good.
Unbelievable.
Really good. Turns out when you can get his snap rate up to like more than 50% of snaps, he's an impact guy.
Well, what was crazy is like people were like Philly fans were like, got him at 9. Howie Roseman is amazing, a genius. It's like, well, we all knew why he dropped to 9.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a pretty significant
thing that happened.
Incident that happened in the celebration of their national championship game. Like,
and the fact that he couldn't stay on the field.
Like that made his stock drop significantly. And they said, we're going to take him. And he is the most dominant defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman right now in the NFL. Like, he is unbelievable how many plays he's impacted.
What he did. I was so glad he didn't kill Matthew Stafford when he had the chance. When he just grabbed him and lifted him up like a rag doll.
It was like,
he just kind
little baby, you're not moving.
He just let him know, like, I could kill you right now. What's funny was the offensive lineman coming over with both our hands up, like, no.
Yeah, he's like, I got it. I could.
Please don't kill him.
But I'm not gonna.
I will say the Rams did acquit themselves, though. And, the turnovers were what bit them. Puka Nacua it's a different wide receiver, man. There's not many wide receivers that you see get better in elements like that.
BYU, man, he's been playing in that Provo stuff.
But I mean, he didn't shy away from the physicality. In fact, he sought it out.
He is a really fun receiver. He is the type of guy that Emeka Egbuka could be in the NFL.
Yeah,
where he's a nasty blocker on the perimeter. He's sure-handed, and he is a good route runner that finds soft spots. Like, that's gonna be the thing. Is like if the Rams go and they get Emeka Egbuka, it would be like Sean McVay is collecting all of the infinity stones of possession receivers that are also explosive and that block their ass off. Like
just trying to find a way to get Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What are we getting? Yeah, like what?
Mine.
Yeah, good guys to have. Good guys to have.
Did you come out of this game feeling any differently about the Eagles? Because I don't look. I know the elements played a factor in this, but also Matthew Stafford showed that you could throw in these elements, and I just don't trust Jalen Hurts to win me a game where he has to throw the ball.
I worry about the injuries coming up, and like Hurts was slow, but like the most important thing in these snow games are take care of the ball. So instead of forcing throws, he took 7 sacks. And look, LA's defensive line was heating him up.
Shout out Jared Verse, who just got Rookie of the Year.
He also was holding onto the ball for too long, and I think the elements played a role in that.
Sure.
He hasn't been sharp in the last 2 games, though, coming off the concussion and being out for a couple of weeks. He has not looked sharp, but I will say it will be interesting to see kind of where he is this week, because he's going to have to be better and he's going to have to make throws. But I'm a little concerned. I'm concerned too, because Philly got dinged up.
Yeah,
they got dinged up in that game, and you can't take too many hits at this point of the year, or especially on the defensive side of the
becomes
football.
detrimental.
Yeah,
very quickly. All right, come on. Let's talk about the game of the weekend. It was the big time matchup: Lamar Jackson and the Ravens against Josh Allen and the Bills, and it delivered in every aspect. We'll dive into that next here on Danny Dusty, 1080 The Fan. In the matchup of MVP hopefuls, Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, and Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, you got everything you wanted in this game.
Yeah. We had weather,
cold
weather game, Buffalo. It was turnovers dictate these games, and I think that's kind of the common thread when you look at Detroit and Washington, when you look at the fumble of Kyron Williams in the Philly-LA game. Hell, even the Chiefs and Texans game where it wasn't a turnover but a blocked field goal, right? And you're looking at those instances.
The margin of error.
So small, so small, to where that dictated the outcome of these games. And look, for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, unfortunately for Lamar, as impressive as he is and the body of work, I mean, dude will likely win the MVP this year or be number 2 after winning the MVPs. His shortcomings in the playoffs continue to bite him. And after the game, like, he's not ducking away from it. It's not something that he doesn't know, but what can you do?
And like I've been saying all season, every time we're in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, with the turnovers, we can't have that you know? And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. It's hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language, but this shit annoying. I'm tired of this shit, man.
And turnovers were their downfall, right? They lose the turnover battle 3-0. He fumbles the ball. Mark Andrews fumbles the ball. He throws an interception, and that was the outcome of this game. Also, Mark Andrews dropping a 2-point conversion was a massive issue. And we would have been looking at potentially overtime in this game, breaking the Ravens' way. But Lamar's right, though. Turnovers were a huge factor. And in the games, he's 3-5 in the playoffs now in his career. In his 3 wins, he has 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 0 fumbles lost. In his 5 losses, he has 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 4 fumbles lost. It is clear line that you can draw to where the Ravens go awry in these playoff games. A lot of it is really good defenses force you to make mistakes. But when they continually happen again and again, you have to look at the quarterback who is responsible for 10 of those turnovers in those 5 losses. That's 2 a game.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at his total turnovers. He's got 14 turnovers in 8 games. That's a lot, man. And for all of the Lamar's great, and he is, his playoff numbers as a passer, he's barely completing 60% of his passes. He's turned the ball over regularly, whether it be through interceptions or through fumbles, and his yards per game aren't that productive. Like you are playing better teams, and that's a real thing. But when you're not scoring, you're not efficient, and you're turning the ball over more often than not, that's tough, man.
But I think in the last couple of years, and like this game included, he throws for 250 on 18 of 25. I mean, he's putting up. He's efficient enough. His numbers are good enough. It's
the last 2 years,
coughing up the ball, and but that like he's evolved so much as a player,
100%.
But that is like his last hurdle he needs to clear, because it really is detrimental to the team. And look, he's not alone in this. It is 100% a team game, right? And Derrick Henry, as dude, was another animal run where he's just mowing over dudes. But Buffalo did a really good job. Buffalo's defense played a hell of a football game. And I
was surprised Henry didn't see the ball more.
Then 18, he had what, 18
16.
catches? 16?
Including 1 drop. Derrick Henry, probably the greatest running back of this generation. I don't think it's probably. It is. He is. My man has hands of stone out of the backfield.
Not a great receiver.
That ball hit him square in the hands, in the chest.
Well, it was low. The one he came back for on the sideline.
Yeah,
it was low, but you should catch that. You should 100%
There's nobody around.
That.
There's no.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have hands.
Just bloop right off him.
I was like, because that. I mean, he makes that catch. There's nobody around him, and if that man is allowed to plant and get upfield, You have to make business decisions at that point in time.
I think the bigger issue is Mark Andrews. Like that.
I get that he dropped the 2-point conversion, but everybody wants to hang this on Andrews. You can't throw the pick and you can't fumble the ball.
Well, he fumbled. He fumbled too.
Oh, I know.
Like his stretch was 8:50 to go in a 5-point game. He fumbles, and he is a guy that
never.
This is the thing. Football plays happen. You don't catch every ball. Sometimes you do fumble, and as rare as it is with him to fumble the football, it happens. It's the fact that he no-showed the media after, and he no-showed the media today when it was Clean Out Your Locker Day.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Penn State lost, I said, I will give Drew Aller all the credit in the world. That young man went up onto a podium after the worst game and the worst loss that you can imagine, and he ate it and he owned it. Dude, Mark Andrews gets paid a lot of money, and I bet he is pissed off. But I sit there and it's not like, hey, you need to talk to the media. It's the right thing to do. It's what all professionals do.
Yeah.
And we had a college kid who threw one of the most boneheaded interceptions that you'll see in a semifinal game that cost his team a chance to play for the national title. And he was able to suck it up, go up and take that.
And he's not making near the money you are.
No.
He's making good money.
Mm-mm.
But it ain't that money.
No, but give Buffalo enough credit too, because I thought Josh Allen showed a lot of growth in awareness in him, because look, he didn't light up the stat sheet, but he did everything that you want your quarterback to do to end up going and winning a playoff game of that magnitude, right?
Took care of the ball.
He didn't play hero ball. He didn't try to force the ball into windows that it had no business being in. He did try to, in Chiefs honk, you'll get this one, he did try to flop on a pretty egregious flop, trying to get a flag, but he took care of the football. He ran inside the goal line. He was their battering ram. He had 2 touchdown runs. He did exactly what they needed him to do to win a game. And he has not always had the ability to do that. And he's got to do it on the road in Arrowhead. Back-to-back weeks now, he's got to do this, where you got to make sure that bad Josh Allen doesn't rear his head, because we've seen it happen. And if he can take care of the ball in Kansas City, with the way their defense played against Baltimore, they're going to give themselves a chance to win that game. They are going to give themselves a chance to win the game, because Lamar Jackson got sacked twice. They did a good job of heating him up and caging him, making sure he didn't get loose, because Lamar's rushes, most of his rushing yards was by design. It wasn't
the play breakdown scramble play.
No, be incredible. And you got it, again, just as much as you're asking Josh Allen to do it in back-to-back weeks, you're asking the defense to do that, because Mahomes is brilliant at keeping plays alive. In playoff time, he tucks the ball and he runs, and he gets big chunk yards. I thought it was a good game for Buffalo. And you also, you get it out of the way now, like, hey, we are from Buffalo, but we can play in the cold weather games too. Now you're going to go to Kansas City. We all know it's going to be cold in Kansas City for the AFC title game.
Bills
Nobody
are used
would want
to
it any other way. But you say, hey, we can play against a high level team.
This isn't the Miami Dolphins going to that way. This is a team that plays in just as cold or colder.
I love it.
No, it's setting
What's the
itself
weather
up.
gonna be like?
I would imagine brutally cold.
Let me look.
I mean, it's snowing in Baton Rouge right now, so I imagine Kansas City's not doing too well.
Yeah,
a
buddy that he lives in Arkansas, and it was 2 degrees this morning,
which might as well be 40 below.
Sunday, high of 32, low of 23, cloud cover. Let's see.
The cloud cover is useful. Keeps it from getting too cold.
We have 5% precipitation between
just gonna be cold
2 and 5. Other than that, no precipitation.
Yeah, they're just gonna be cold and socked in.
Come on, give me snow.
There you go. No, just me. It'd be great.
I want snow.
I'd love it.
Every other day after that, though, is sunny. So
craptacular.
Yeah.
All right.
All
right. Coming up next, we didn't get much time to get to it, so let's talk about the Detroit Lions and where they go from here after maybe the best season in their franchise's history in recent memory. They got a lot of places to go. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports and Update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers hit the road after snapping a 5-game losing streak over the weekend. They're in Miami to face the Heat this afternoon. 4:30 tip on K2 2.2 on your antenna, and that's Xfinity Channel 302. Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle are out. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams III, Chris Murray, and Tumani Kamara are all questionable. The Blazers are 10-point underdogs. Closer to home, the number 15 Oregon Ducks hosting the Washington Huskies tonight at Matthew Knight Arena. 8 o'clock tip on the Big Ten Network. Coverage here on the Fan starts at 7:30. The Ducks are 13.5-point favorites. Over in the NFL, the Bears announced the hiring of Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting the Cowboys interviewing offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer for their head coaching vacancy. And the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to terms on a multi-year extension. He is the only coach in franchise history with multiple 13-win seasons. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Are your old windows
The Detroit Lions season comes to a whimper after being seemingly the team of destiny, but overcome by the team of real destiny in the Washington Commanders. Already you're seeing a change in the front office or in the coaching staff as Ben Johnson has left his OC position to take over as a head coach of the Chicago Bears. And very likely Aaron Glenn will do the same with the New York Jets or another team.
Good for both those guys because they did an incredible job on a really good roster on both sides of the football. Aaron Glenn especially with all the defensive injuries to kind of get those guys ready week in and week out and still like give your team a chance to win. They gave up 45 points to the Washington Commanders. But it's also a pick six was mixed in there and turnovers leading to a short field. Momentum kind of grabbers that Washington had. The defense finally broke for Detroit. But, dude, those two coordinators were special.
Where do they go from here? Because their roster is pretty much locked up.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worried about Penei Sewell going anywhere. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff. Aiden Hutchinson will return healthy, and their defensive core is mostly intact except for their secondary. But their front seven is taken care of because it's mostly young guys or guys on their first real deal. So where do the Lions go from here?
I don't know, but this is where young up and coming teams they can hit a roadblock, right? You can withstand attrition on the coaching front if you're head coach is dominant on one side of the ball, right? Defensively or offensively. But Dan Campbell is the leader of men, right? And this is kind of double-edged sword here in that he's got to nail these hires, which is the scary proposition, but it's going to be attractive for any football guy that's out there because he will give you the leeway to be successful in whatever you see fit of being successful with the pieces that you're given. He's going to let you do your own damn thing. And he's going to give you a long runway because he's not going to meddle in what you do. He's going to let you be the play caller that you were brought there to be. And he'll take the heat, good or bad, that comes your way. He took that loss hard.
Oh, you could tell. He took all the blame.
But he's doing it for his coordinators and for his players. So it's going to be attractive because he's solid in his footing with the organization. You've got a young core on both sides of the football to be successful in the short term and the long term in Detroit.
No matter which side of the ball you were a coordinator for, offense or defense, it's attractive.
It is attractive, 100%.
You got dudes to work with.
But Dan Campbell needs to find the right guys to do it. Right. And I believe that he will, but also like sometimes it's just a special mixture.
It's a secret sauce, and you try to replicate it and it might be difficult to do.
It might be really difficult to do. And Aaron Glenn, like Dan Campbell stood behind Aaron Glenn because Aaron Glenn was taking shots the first 2 years there. Like it was like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like the defense is underperforming.
Yeah, it's because the defense wasn't good. The secondary's beat to hell.
Playing that over their skis. Yeah. Like the only thing that you can say was truly bad. Fourth down was awful against Washington. One of them, Arnold, on that fourth down run where his naked bootleg out by Jane Daniels, and he just bites inside. You're like, where are you going?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just set the edge and you get the ball.
But that's not Aaron Glenn's fault.
No, it's not. I highly doubt he taught his guy to just disappear and not set up and set the edge there. Probably not what he was coaching. But,
you talk about Aaron Glenn and the adaptation that he had. He lost his literal entire secondary.
All of it.
His first 5 DBs out with injury.
Not good.
And instead of folding, he goes, you know what we're going to do? We're going to dial up the pressure to a level that we've never done it, and we are going to blitz more than we ever have because we don't have the time back there. He completely overhauled his whole philosophy to adapt to his personnel and adapt his scheme to his personnel on a dime.
What's interesting, though, is that you're hearing the rumblings coming out of Detroit now are that, like, your offensive line coach is interviewing for offensive coordinator jobs. Like, it may not just be Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. Like, they may take a guy or two from that staff as well. And it's like the sum of all of its parts are kind of what made Detroit special. That's what I hope doesn't happen. I hope Detroit ends up getting over the hump. Like, I hope that they can keep on just churning this machine moving forward. But look, with the play caller gone on the offensive side, with potentially your offensive line coach leaving too, if he's not promoted the OC in Detroit, and if you also look at the fact you got Jared Goff, you don't have the elite quarterback.
No.
That can be the stabilizing
You got a lot
force.
of stuff around him.
I think you have more questions offensively than defensively in Detroit. But I hope that they can keep moving along because they were so fun to watch. And it was a special year for Detroit. I just hope that this isn't the end of it. They need to get back to the NFC Championship game. I hope we see them in a Super Bowl. I was wishing that hoping
I
we
wanted
would
Bills
get
Lions
Buffalo
so
Lions.
bad.
Yeah, dude.
I want Bills. Now I am Bills Commanders. I am so in on Bills Commanders.
You want Bills
Oh
Commanders?
God, yes, give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me for two franchises that have just been up against it.
I kind of want that too, just because Dan Snyder can be like,
just a
"Oh, I was
double
the
barrel.
problem."
Yeah, a double barrel to Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
That's
Do you honest question? Do you think he's following?
Oh, 100%.
He is.
Oh, the spite and anger that he has to be, that when all those people pointed at it and said he was the problem. This is what I talk about when I talk about just changing ownership for the Trailblazers doesn't immediately change anything, because I hear what's going on behind the scenes with the Blazers, and I've heard what's going on behind the scenes with the Commanders under Dan Snyder. They're two different worlds.
Yeah.
It's like when it's that level of bad, yeah, it's ownership, baby. Through and through. Yep. You can go, no. It's ownership.
Direct
unquestionably.
Line of causation.
There's a causation correlation. 100%.
All right.
So yes. Oh yeah. And that dude's watching. I mean, not only is he losing on the field, he's losing off the field. They got the authorization from the new stadium that he can never get done. That's gonna have a built-in casino. They're gonna get the money for it. It's like they're gonna rebrand the franchise with a name that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Like everything is coming up good for them ever since he left.
Something tells me like he's into highlight now, or like he just doesn't. He's just like gotten away from all American sports because it would somehow come back to the Commanders. And this is, again, they need to change the name from the Commanders because that's the last stink that he has on that team.
Red Tails, baby.
They're gonna have a new stadium. They have their
break it in with a new name.
Just start anew with everything. Get him completely out of it.
It's a wonderful thing to see.
God.
Speaking of starting anew with everything, we're going to football very hard today, but basketball's working its way into this
my gosh.
because Scoot Henderson has had his best week ever. We'll dive into that more. Can be here to close up today's show on Danny Dusty today, the Fan. Portland Trailblazers go 1-4 on their 5-game homestand with their 1 win coming against the Chicago Bulls. And boy, do they suck something fierce.
That team's bad, dude.
Boy, they are bad.
Who saw that coming the second of the back-to-back?
Goodness gracious. That's a bad basketball team, man. They did go down and get a win against the Clippers yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, basketball doesn't make
But
sense.
regardless, Scoot Henderson has put together the best stretch of basketball in his career. And it's not particularly close. After a game against Brooklyn on January 14th where he goes for 39 points, a career high, and a game that the Nets beat the living crap out of the Blazers. They end up losing by 18. He follows it up with a 16-6 performance against the Clippers, in which the Blazers get the ever-living crap beat out of them. They lose by 29. He follows that up, though, with 21-11 against the Houston Rockets, in which the Blazers get the ever-living crap kicked out of them by 22. But the game to me that's now standing out is the game that he had against those lowly Bulls, where he has 25-8.
And I think that Clippers game, I watched it, and as I was watching it, I was like, yeah, he's scoring, but it's at kind of the detriment of the flow of the game. And I think over the last week, but scoring is just ball going through hoop we haven't seen from him.
It's a massive improvement because, before this game against Miami, he played 21 minutes. He was 1 for 6 with 3 points and 3 assists. It was very bad.
But I think that when I was watching the Bulls game, it seemed different in that it wasn't a hero ball as much.
It was in the flow.
It was in the flow, and it played within the context of, hey, this looks like it's maybe a little bit more structured than I'm just going to run and chuck.
He had a plan, and that was the thing that stood out. I'm in the process of gathering, data to do Scoot's first 100 games. I think he's at 97 now. And when I say that statistically he's profiled as one of the worst players in the modern era, I mean he's right there with like Sebastian Telfair, DeJuan Wagner, Teo Maledon, Emmanuel Mudiay.
And I think like Sebastian Telfair is, it's almost like, yeah, I see a lot of that in that it was free flowing if you want to be nice about it, or ISO hero ball, watch me operate if you want to be honest about how the style of play. Like that's what it has looked like to this point, in that, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Mike Richmond article. What he told Mike Richmond, it was like, I don't like structure.
I want to play in the open play. I want to play in, with freedom. And it's like, yeah, but that's not where the NBA is played. 90% of the game is played in the half court.
Successful basketball is played at any level.
And the crazy thing about this isn't just the ball going in the hoop, because that can happen for anyone. I saw Corey Brewer score 50. Like, it happens.
Hells yeah.
But what really stood out for me against the Bulls was, for maybe the first time in his career, he had a plan. And you could see it. Like, you don't get to runners and floaters without having a plan. That's not just a shot you go, and throw up. Like, there was real thought processes taking place. And you didn't see this coming. It hasn't been like a slow burn to this. Like, with Shaedon, you saw it coming. With Tumani, you saw it coming. Hell, when Ant was developing, you saw it coming. This literally came out of nowhere. And it's been, again, it will be one of the biggest statistical turnarounds ever for a guy through his first 100 games who has performed this poorly. For him to do this, if this is actually what he is, which I still don't believe.
No, we're going to have to see a lot more.
But he's going to have the opportunity to show it.
We're seeing a little bit of a corner turn. We'll see how many times we see this, like, you think that a young player's turning a corner, and then they say, instead of going left, I'm going to turn this thing right, and we're going to go directly into the wall, right? We've seen that a lot. But I also think, I don't know how much this plays into it, but how much of it had to do with, Shaedon Sharpe moving to the bench, which that was something that there was some comments that I was reading of you guys in the post game, just going, oh.
I mean, pre-game, it was the closest Chauncey Billups has come to his year one fire and brimstone. I mean, it was about as close as I've seen Chauncey throw a player into a wood chipper since year one.
Well, yeah,
it was pretty bad.
When I read that the pregame interview piece where you said, or it was just your tweet where you said it's in Shaedon's hands now.
Yeah, it was basically like, it's not up to me, man. He's played himself out of the starting line.
He's not playing defense. if he wants to get back in, it's in his hands. And then here, like reading what Heiken put out there after the game of, Shaedon kind of contrasting comments there where he's like, yeah, it was a really good combo. He told me what I needed to do, and today I think I took a big step in doing what he said I needed to do.
I mean, Shaedon owned it, so but let's see where it goes.
But I wonder how much that has to do with, guys on the floor and that combination of him feeling comfortable
for sure. I mean,
with certain players.
You inserted more guys that maybe have more of a plan.
Look, we said this I was on Friday. I don't know how much basketball we're going to be getting, dude.
But we found some.
I think it's worthwhile, too, and we'll see after today. I'm not going to say that tonight because Jeff Restaurant might get mad. This evening's game.
Late afternoon.
It's a 4:30 tip, so I'd call it afternoon.
Okay, after this afternoon, into the evening's tip against the Miami Heat, maybe we'll have more to talk about tomorrow on Scoot in his development. All right, up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. Is Primetime with Isaac Souk. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. See you Wednesday, noon to 3, right here on The Fan.
Bye.
Aloha, it's Marcus from the